Good afternoon and welcome to the Market Wrap for APW. Stuart Williamson at the helm. Week ending 26th November, and this is episode number 77. So number 77, why do we do it? Because we're trying to supply clients with, or not just clients, anyone really in the expatriate, international or purchasing community who are looking at residential property around the world, specifically in the UK. So just an information forum. Okay, if you can, please do subscribe, like, and press the alert bell, because it'll help us, promote ourselves and get this circulating to more good people. In addition, next week we're starting with a regional wrap, which will be looking at property market strengths around the UK, around Europe, different locations around the world. So, what are we talking about this week? This week, top UK buy-to-let location in the next 5 years revealed. Now, where is that? Last week we talked about the Savills Winter Report and how it expected the UK residential market to appreciate at 13% across the board, with London at 5% maximum, the North West, Yorks, Humber at 18%, East and West Midlands slightly below that. This week, Jones Lang LaSalle have drilled further into that data and looked at local pressures and how they can make a market stand out from others. In fact, they should look at it markets that can do worse than others, I guess, as well, but this is a standout thing. And what they're saying is that basically Birmingham prices are expected to rise the most of any city in the UK. They're going to be boosted by the Commonwealth Games. And what you're seeing in Birmingham to a certain extent is a momentum building. You've got the Commonwealth Games coming up, you've got a lot of infrastructure development, HS2 and so on. And so you have got momentum, and so potentially could begin to outperform other cities. They predict over the next 5 years, the second city will rise by 4.9% per annum. Thanks to those changes I just mentioned, rental values will rise at 2.8% per annum. The 2022 Commonwealth Games are a key force behind this growth. Not only will the Games thrust the city into the world stage, driving profile and demand, as they say, but preparations of the tournament have already brought thousands of high-earning jobs to the area. Those jobs combined with another swathe of professional vacancies coming to the city thanks to the levelling up that the UK government is pushing on with, has meant the relocation of a number of high-profile companies. Goldman Sachs is one example. HMRC has brought 6,300 high-paying executives to the city. So the appetite for relatively high-end property is rising dramatically at the moment. The demand will be satisfied by 5,000 new homes potentially being built in Perry Bar as part of the Commonwealth Games legacy, but despite this, demand will still outweigh supply. Okay, now it's an interesting concept about the major sporting events having a positive influence on cities, because it's not always the case. When we look historically as a sideline, you can see that in 1976 the Montreal Olympics actually lost money and left the Canadian taxpayers with a hefty bill, which it didn't pay off until 2006. And historically, it's been the smaller, less developed cities like Barcelona and Athens who've done very well. Places like Sydney and Atlanta have not. Because with a small city, you make big changes and develop whole swathes, whereas with an existing large city, you can't do that. So it gives different opportunities. I mean, the 1992 Barcelona Olympics have been held as an example of how to do things right. Okay, properties were built on previously unused wasteland. The city underwent major regenerations, and the city saw the arrival of a high-speed train, the AVE, which provided the long-awaited, much-needed, efficient connection of the capital to the capital, Madrid. Okay, our property prices went up by 130% over the 5 years following. So that's quite strong. I was in Malaysia when the Commonwealth Games were in Malaysia, and it was a humongous amount of building. And for many years afterwards, people had built in places that were never going to be affected by the Commonwealth Games, and they were empty. So it is a case of you have to be careful, what you do. Rio is another example. There's some great quotes there. An Amnesty International study found Rio's Olympics left a shady legacy of a city entrenched with marginalisation and discrimination, and a record of human rights violations and violence remains part of the game now. 80,000 of the Rio's poor were moved, and most of them were moved to even worse locations where they were to start off with. So, be careful what you wish for. It may be good to have the Commonwealth Games or have the World Cup. or have the Olympics, but it doesn't always work out for the best. I'm sure in Birmingham's case, the Birmingham City Council and the big city plan, so they have learned from all these previous games problems, and it'll be a good experience for the whole of Birmingham and the whole of the region. In addition, Jones Lang say that Birmingham, going back to Jones Lang, Birmingham is saying that Birmingham is one of the major beneficiaries of the long-awaited HS2. And Nick Whitton, who's the head of residential research, says Birmingham's the next urban frontier for prospective buyers and investors alike. Thanks to the Commonwealth Games, along with other major developments, Birmingham's cultural, economic, practical and professional offerings will all improve dramatically over the next 5 years. Our residential predictions reflect that. I mean, just one of them is the Mercian Studios development, 1 million square feet of studios in Digbeth, right in the centre of Birmingham. I mean, you couldn't do that in any other city in the UK. The next urban frontier for buyers and landlords, he says, to put that impressive 4.9% into context, what it would mean to you if you bought a house for £500,000 or a flat in Birmingham today. In 5 years, at the end of 2026, it's going to be worth £635,000. And it's far greater growth than other parts of the wider West Midlands, which they're saying will do 3.8%. They also say that they believe that London will bounce back quickly. They're benefiting from the return to work and the end of travel restrictions for international buyers to come in. They suggest a house growth of 6.5% in Greater London in 2022 and an average annual growth rate after that 4.7%. So that's against, again, what Savills are saying. So will it happen? We don't really know that. Their overall viewpoint is that London is a good opportunity and the UK will continue to have a good residential property market. The biggest drivers are shortage. Looking forward, you've got the end of right to buy, which comes in, I think, 2.5 years. That'll be a bit like a stamp duty-esque cliff edge. People will want to buy before that. Then you've got the election in 2024. That'll mean that people won't know what to do about house prices. Will it go up? Will it go down? So should we buy or stay at home? But overall, the ageing population, you've got a fifth of the population over 65, and they have the largest houses with loads of spare rooms. And their complaint is there's nowhere to move down to, nowhere to downsize to. So that shortage of supply, plus the shortage that comes along with the lack of delivery of new units. They're saying that the government says 1.5 million homes needs to be built over the next 5 years to meet demand. JLL is saying they're going to miss that by at least 35%, possibly even 50%. So overall, it looks like we're looking very positive, potentially in Birmingham. Overall in the country, it's quite a positive outlook. Commonwealth Games is very good for Birmingham. Hopefully it'll raise the whole attitude and good feeling in the Midlands. A bit like the Cricket World Cup did for Birmingham as well. It was a great feeling to be there. So shortage of homes is going to be an issue that's continuing to drive the house prices. London may surprise us all, who knows. That's it for this week. Thank you very much. Do subscribe, press the alert button, if that's the word, and see you next week.